It's a little late. So normally when we begin a session on Bhagavad Gita, we begin with what is called a Mangala Charan. So we'll begin with Mangala Charan because we want to invoke auspiciousness of the Guru Parampara of the Supreme Lord, because we are after all going to talk about the words that he spoke on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So we'll begin with Mangala Charan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Darati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shita Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpadarupyascha Kripa Sindhuge Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshadane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam namghayati giram yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So let's begin with a simple question for each one of you. You can respond in the chat. What is the reason that you joined or registered for this Gita session? Can you just briefly put maybe one or two words, like what is the reason you joined this Gita session? To connect with Krishna. Rishika, thank you very much. To know about Krishna, to know Krishna. To change my mindset, that's very nice. Rohit, thank you. To know my strength, Bhargavi, that's also very nice. Thank you. To know how to deal with life's problems. Yes, actually, that's a very important point. So thank you, Percy, for that. Yes, to connect with Krishna, that's very important. How to live better for spiritual growth. How to uplift myself. And yes, some of you just want to understand the Bhagavad Gita, to gain knowledge, to know who I am, how to handle situations, how to understand and recite the Gita shlokas. Thank you. I like doing that too. And yes, spiritual growth. And if we really surrender to Krishna, yes, he will help us for sure. Yeah. Thank you for your wonderful responses. So we'll begin with a simple reason why most of us are interested in the Bhagavad Gita. Fundamentally, we want to understand what is our role in life and what are our duties and responsibilities. Because, see, when you go to school, you are taught ABCD, you're taught 1, 2, 3, 4, you're taught mathematics, you're taught English, you're taught some languages, but nobody really tells you what's your goal in life. Oftentimes, my request is to kindly put yourselves on mute so it doesn't disturb the others who may be listening to the session. Yeah. Also, I noticed that some of you are joined with your device name. Please do me a favor and change your name of the Zoom participant so I know who you are. So someone has joined with Samsung SM. Kindly change your name. You just have to right click on your name and modify your name. Someone has joined with the name Vivo 1985. kindly join with your name. We are tracking attendance, so attendance also matters for you to receive your certificates at the end of this 18-day session. Yes, so what was I saying? I was saying that in school, you are taught a lot of subjects. But the one subject that is most important is you are not taught who you are and what your duties and responsibilities are. So most of us may think, okay, isn't that the responsibility of the parents and society in general to teach you? But wouldn't it be really nice if you could go to a school where you can learn, first of all, what are your duties and responsibilities throughout your stages in life, as a child, as a young adult, when you get married, what's your responsibility as parents, what's your responsibility as children, what's your responsibility as you retire from life, and so on and so forth. So generally speaking, our material education system does not really focus on basic values, basic concepts of why we are here, why are we suffering, what are we supposed to do, how can we be happy all the time? Because happiness is something all of us are actually searching for. Everybody is looking for happiness. But then we discover that in life, there are so many ups and downs. So in childhood, we may have experienced ups and downs. In our teenage life, we would have experienced ups and downs. But ups and downs is a fact of life. That means there will be joy, there will be distress in life. Can we control it in such a way that we are only experiencing joy and no distress? That may be a difficult task. But can we learn how to handle the ups and downs in life? Definitely yes. And that is where the Bhagavad Gita actually plays an important role. There is a nice saying that if there is no ups and downs in your life, it means you are dead, right? What does in a medical facility, if the line is flat, it means your heart is not functioning. It means you no longer have life. So the very fact that you have ups and downs in life means you have an opportunity to change its trajectory, right? Because when you're dead, you can't do much. Yeah, you just have to move on to your next life and try all over again. So yes, we all are seeking happiness, but we don't get only happiness, we also get suffering. So the larger question is, how can we be permanently happy? So we are beset with so many questions that we have in life, right? What will happen to me? For those who are students here, you may be thinking, will I get a job? Will I get a good pay? Will I be happy? Will I be satisfied? Will I have good friends in life? Will I meet a good spouse? Will I have children? Will I be able to retire? Or do I have to work till I am 80, 90 years old? Because financially, things are getting more and more difficult. Everything is getting more and more expensive. Inflation is something that we all have to deal with. But beyond those obvious questions, there are also deeper questions like, who am I and who is God? And if there is a God and if there is this Jivatma that is me, what is the relationship between me and God? What is the purpose that I have been born? Where did I come from? And why did I take birth in a particular family, in a particular body, in a particular country? And after this life, where am I going to go? What's going to happen to me? Okay, so I'm looking at life all around me. I don't see equality at all. So is the Lord really fair? Why is it that some people are so happy and seem to be very wealthy and successful? Some people are struggling for just basic necessities in life. And of course, when we undergo suffering, one of the questions we ask ourselves is, why me? Why am I suffering? I remember there was a stage in my life where nothing was going right, And I used to always wonder, why is it happening to me? What did I do wrong? Because as far as I could remember, I had not done anything wrong. But still, I was not having a positive time in my life. So these questions also come to us, why do we suffer? What's the reason for this suffering? And is there anything that can be done about it? So we have all of these questions. And the answers to these questions is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Who am I? The answer is there. Who is God? The answer is there. Is there a relationship between me and God? The answer is there. Where did I come from? The answer is there. Where am I going to go after this life? The answer is there. Why am I suffering? That answer is there. What's the purpose of my life? The answer is there. However, it's not possible for you to find out all of the answers in one session. Actually, it's not possible to find the answers and understand the answers and apply those answers in 18 chapters. So this is a lifetime's exercise for all of us. Even if you may get some answers today, some answers you may get when you attend one more Gita class, maybe 6 months from now, 9 months from now. Because we absorb information in a very limited way. Spiritual knowledge is not something that can be understood, synthesized, and applied in one shot. So just like it takes us maybe 18 years to get a basic school certificate, and it may take us 20 years to get a college degree, So similarly, even with scriptures, it's a lifetime's exercise of learning. Now you may think, oh my God, I've spent 20 years going to college and then I got my master's degree and you're telling me I have to do the same thing even with Bhagavad Gita? Actually, you need not worry. See, the difference is that in college, you are always pressurized with tests and exams and practicals, and then you have your national tests. Then you have to look at your ranking. Then you have to worry about so many different things, getting an internship, getting a job, etc. The beauty of scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is that you can actually apply what you learn in life and see how it transforms you and transforms your life. So one of the most important qualities that we need to have when we are looking at the Bhagavad Gita and we want to learn, so many of you have said you want to know Krishna. To know Krishna is a lifetime's exercise. It's not something that we will accomplish in 18 days. However, I'm going to encourage you to stay with us for the next 18 days because certainly you will benefit from some of the answers that you are seeking. Slowly, we will begin to understand the Bhagavad Gita, and slowly, we will also learn how to tackle the problems in life. Yeah. So, for example, when we fall sick, who do we go to? We go to the doctor. What does the doctor invariably do? He asks you for your symptoms. Based on the symptoms, he diagnoses what your potential problem, health issue may be. And then, after he's diagnosed your problem, he will give you a treatment. Sometimes the treatment may be a little operation, a little surgery. Sometimes it's a life-changing event, the treatment. It could be a massive medical treatment. Sometimes it's very simple. He will just write a prescription, give you the medicine name, tell you how often you should take it, under what conditions you should take it, and what changes you need to make in your lifestyle. So similarly, the human manual for us, for our suffering, is actually the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita is like the doctor's manual for us. And the acharyas who write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and teach us about what is Krishna's message for us, this is like the prescription for us. So if we are ready to follow the instructions of the Acharya and the instructions of Krishna, then that is the best prescription for us. Just like if we are interested in becoming healthy, we very judiciously follow the doctor's advice. So similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is teaching you certain do's and certain don'ts. And these do's and don'ts are actually explained to us by the acharyas like Adi Shankaracharya. One of the questions that I had asked in the poll was, who has written, which is the oldest commentary on the Bhagavad Gita? So the oldest commentary on the Bhagavad Gita was written by Sri Shankaracharya. So you can see after that also, so many other acharyas have written detailed commentaries to help us better understand the subject matter and assimilate the subject matter. Because after all, we are interested in changing our lives. That is the reason why I presume most of you have registered for this class, is because you want to see some change in your life. Maybe some of you have anxiety issues. How can you be relaxed and calm? How can you de-stress yourself? Maybe some of you have anger issues. How do you overcome that anger? Maybe some of you have issues with laziness. How do you become very, very determined and enthusiastic? Maybe some of you are impatient. How do you learn tolerance and patience? These are some of the things and the topics that are actually addressed in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's Krishna himself who's giving us the ultimate prescription for lasting happiness. So if you really want to know how to be happy, we're not saying how to avoid problems in life, because problems will come. It's just a fact of life. But if you want to learn to be happy in spite of the challenging situations that you may face, then you have to follow Krishna's prescriptions in the Bhagavad Gita. Why has Krishna left this prescription for us in the Bhagavad Gita? Because he loves us and he wants us to be happy. Krishna does not want us to suffer. He's not happy when we are suffering. So he's so kind, he's left behind his message for us so that we may utilize it and make a change in our life. So this is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Since we are beginning on an auspicious day, today is the second day of Navaratri, and since this is an auspicious week for us, it's wonderful that we are able to delve into the Bhagavad Gita and spend some time learning about what Krishna's message is for us. So before we begin, all of us can just chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra once, so that actually we can chant it 3 times before we actually begin chapter 1. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. See, learning something new is not easy. So a couple of you said you wanted to learn how to recite shlokas. If it is something new to you, it is not that easy. But at the same time, if you commit yourself to the process, then certainly it is possible. So let's learn about the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita is divided into 18 chapters. There are a total of 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita. And this Bhagavad Gita, the commentary that we are looking at over the next 18 days to the important shlokas in these chapters, has been written by our founding Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So let us get ready to understand the Bhagavad Gita in detail. So here is the overview of the first chapter. But before we look at the first chapter, let's look at the overview of the 18 chapters. So the Bhagavad Gita is divided into 18 chapters. The first 6 chapters are called Karma Yoga. The next 6 chapters are called Bhakti Yoga. And the final 6 chapters are generally referred to as Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga. So Krishna speaks 574 of the 700 verses. Arjuna speaks 84 verses. Sanjaya speaks 41 verses. And there is a very well-known personality, Dhritarashtra, who speaks the first verse in the first chapter. So in this way, there are 700 verses divided into 3 sections over 18 chapters. You could say that the first 6 chapters, you're learning all about yourself. Because Karma Yoga means what is your duties and responsibilities. The next 6 chapters, you are learning all about who is God. And in the final 6 chapters, you are learning how you can use this knowledge about yourself and the Supreme Lord to achieve that state of eternal happiness. Okay? So here in the first chapter, we are talking about the scene on the battlefield in the first 11 shlokas. Then from shloka 12 to 20, there are signs of victory for the Pandavas. Then you can see how merciful the Lord is. Actually, the Lord only begins speaking the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2. Chapter 1 is just the context for the battle and what's going through Arjuna's mind. So how is it that the Lord is demonstrating that he is so kind, that he is so merciful? In the first chapter itself, we'll see that. How does the first chapter end? With Arjuna saying he does not want to fight. So he is on the battlefield. Everything has been tried to avoid this battle. But somehow or the other, everybody is there on the battlefield ready to fight. And now Arjuna decides maybe he doesn't want to do this at all. Maybe this is not a good idea. So my first question to you before we begin is, what is your understanding of dharma? Can you just put that in the chat while I go over the next set of slides? So my question is, what is your understanding of dharma? Okay. So while you do that, I'm just going to cover a few more slides. So in the first section of the first chapter, the first 11 shlokas, we're looking at a few things. What is Dhritarashtra's mood as he asks this question? What is Duryodhana's mood as he begins to speak? Who are all the soldiers, at least the more important soldiers' names that are called out by Duryodhana? What is an Akshauhani? How many Akshauhanis are there? What actually happened to the Narayani Sena? How many of them actually fought for the Kauravas? How many didn't fight? And how many actually fought on the side of the Pandavas, even though Krishna had made a promise? So let us look at the first shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyotsavaha mamakaf pandavas chaiva kimakurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Now, in order to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we really do not need to know much about the Mahabharata. It's not necessary for us. If you have a little bit of a background, it's good. But for those who do not have a background of Mahabharata, you can just understand that there are two sons, and the father decides, I will give the wealth overwhelmingly to one and nothing for the other. Then you can understand it's going to result in a family feud and a fight. That is what has happened here. Dhritarashtra was so focused on his own sons, he disregarded his brother's sons, his own nephews. So that is the crux of the problem. When one person wants all of the property and uses every single means to deprive the other person of the property, then it's going to result in a war. Definitely among Kshatriyas, it will result in a war. So the entire war was because of the Kauravas' attitude, which was primarily driven by Duryodhana. The word Dhritarashtra means, Rashtra means country or state or nation, you could say. Dhritarashtra means someone who has used unfair means to take somebody else's land. That is literally one of the meanings of Dhritarashtra. Now, Duryodhana means someone who does not fight in a fair way. You could say he uses dirty techniques, right? Like the gambling matches that were organized with the help of his uncle Shapani. So Duryodhana means someone who does not fight in a fair way. Now, what do these two personalities represent? Dhritarashtra represents all of our internal desires. And Duryodhana represents our actions that we take to fulfill those desires. We can have good desires. We can also have bad desires. In this case, the bad desire was Dhritarashtra wanted his sons to rule. And therefore, Duryodhana acted on the desire of Dhritarashtra. He understood what was the nature of his father, and he took advantage of it. Now, why should Dhritarashtra ask this question? What is happening on the battlefield? Because Dhritarashtra is blind, he is not there on the battlefield. Sanjaya had a special Divya Drishti given to him by his guru, Vyasadeva. And because Sanjaya was able to witness what was happening on the battlefield, Dhritarashtra wanted Sanjaya to narrate to him what is happening. Now, Dhritarashtra's desire was that his sons should win this battle. But he had a doubt. Can his sons win? Considering that they are in a place of pilgrimage where this battle is going to be fought, called Kurukshetra. It's a holy place. Dhritarashtra also had a fear. Could it be possible that his sons, because they were on holy land, Kurukshetra, could they change their mind and just become pious all of a sudden because of the influence of a holy place, of a holy dham? But Dhritarashtra also had a hope because he knew that the Pandavas were more pious and law-abiding. He thought maybe they would be influenced by the holy place and they would decide not to fight. So you can see, when you're in a difficult situation, you have such complicated range of emotions. There is doubt, there is desire, there is fear, there is hope. Everything just comes together. And that creates a very confusing mental status for somebody. And hence he is asking this question of Sanjaya. So what is the issue here primarily between father and son, between Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana specifically? It is that as a king, you have a dual role. You have to take care of your citizens and make sure dharma is upheld. At the same time, you have a responsibility to your own children, who would be the future kings of this particular nation. However, if your own children are working against dharma and you allow them to continue operating in that way, in incorrect or improper or immoral ways, then how can you be considered a good king? Because you are upholding the law of the land for your citizens, but you're not doing the same thing for your own children. So this is called blind affection. So Dhritarashtra was not only physically blind, he was also morally blind. His affection for his children ended up causing their destruction. So the important lesson for us here is that as parents, we have a duty and responsibility to make sure that our children are taught the right value systems. If we don't do that, and if we are overly affectionate and not strict and firm with them, then we can cause a great deal of harm to their value system. I was listening to a lecture by His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, who's a wonderful preacher in ISKCON. And he was saying one of the rules, even among devotee community, the way in which we talk to each other and guide each other, senior to junior, etc. He used the term compassionate discipline. So even when you're correcting someone, it has to come from a place of compassion, not from a place of anger. Of course, anger is a natural emotion for all of us. So sometimes we may get carried away with our anger. But ideally, discipline should be accompanied by compassion. So if we look at the soldiers on the battlefield, now Duryodhana in these shlokas from 2 to 11 is listing all of the names. So we're not going to go over all of the names. But you can see that Karna is mentioned here, even though Karna actually comes to the battlefield only on the 11th day. But he is glorifying Dronacharya, Bhishma Dev, Karna, Kripacharya. Who is not mentioned here? Can you see? Is there any name that's not mentioned here? Who's a very important personality? Who is not mentioned here? Krishna is not mentioned here. Krishna has not come here as a warrior. But isn't he the most important personality here? So he has not at all acknowledged the presence of Krishna. That also reveals a person's mindset, right? They want everything in life, but they don't want God in their life. They want happiness, they want wealth, they want success, they want glory, they want power, but they don't want God. So in the long run, such people will be led to destruction only. So let's look at the Akshauhinis. An Akshauhini has 218,700 players, you could say. Of that, 21,870 are elephants, 21,870 are chariots, 65,610 are horses, or what is called as cavalries. And 1,09,350 is the infantrymen. How do you get this information? It's there in the Adi Parva. What an Akshauhini is. What a fascinating thing is that you add all these numbers, 21870, 65610, 109350, 218700. You will always come to the number 9. So it's a very, very specific number. It's not some random number. So when Duryodhana and Arjuna meet with Krishna, Duryodhana comes first. So he's seated at Krishna's head. And Arjuna, Krishna is lying down, sleeping. And Arjuna comes and sits at the lotus feet of Krishna. Now, when Krishna opens his eyes, who does he see first? He sees Arjuna. Only then he sees Duryodhana. Now, he asks Arjuna, how are you? What can I do for you? So immediately Duryodhana says, wait a minute, I came here first. So I should get the first preference on what I want. At that time, Krishna said no, because Arjuna is younger to you. So he should ask first. And Duryodhana was nervous. He was thinking, what if Arjuna asked for the Narayani Sena? Who wants Krishna? But much to his surprise, Arjuna says, Krishna, I want you on our side. And Duryodhana was thinking, what a fool is this Arjuna? He could have easily asked for the Narayani Sena and definitely victory would have been his. See, even there, Duryodhana made a material calculation. He was going by the strength of Krishna's army and not at all looking at what Krishna could have done for him. If he wanted, he could have chosen Krishna. But anyway, that's not what happened, right? So Arjuna chooses Krishna to be on his side. He didn't care if the Narayani Sena was on his side or not. And because Duryodhana chose the Narayani Sena, however, a debate happened between Lord Balaram and all of the other Yadu dynasty. And the Narayani Sena also had 11 Akshauhinis. But out of that 11, 9 of them decided they will not fight. They sided with Lord Balaram. So actually the Narayani Sena, only 2 Akshauhinis fought. Now interestingly, one of those Akshauhinis was led by Kritavarma. He followed Krishna's instructions because Duryodhana had chosen Narayani Sena. He fought on Duryodhana's side. Satyaki, who is another one of the heads of one of the Akshauhinis, decided he's not going to obey Krishna. He'd rather be on the side of Krishna. So it so happened that Satyaki actually fought on the side of the Pandavas. So out of that Narayani Sena, only 2 of them fought, 1 on each side. Kritavarma on the Kauravas side, Satyaki on the Pandavas side. So literally 9 Akshauhinis did not fight from the Narayani Sena. So you can imagine what the situation would have been. Anyway, if you look at it, the Pandavas, technically speaking, had only 7 Akshauhinis, whereas the Kauravas had 11. Now let's look at Duryodhana's mood. So he has already listed all of the famous personalities who are going to help him succeed and win. Let's see what he says here. Anye cha bahavasura madarte tyakta jivitaha nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. Here Duryodhana is telling, who is he talking to? He's talking to Dronacharya. He says, there are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Now, we're going to compare Duryodhana's mood to Arjuna's mood later on. What is Duryodhana saying? Everybody is ready to die for me. I'm so happy. They are such great supporters of mine. Then he says, Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam paryaptam tvidame tesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. So here he's telling Dronacharya, yes, I have named great personalities on the Pandava side, but don't worry, even on our side, I feel we have great people. Like, he says, our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma. Whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Now, Bhima and Bhishma, why is he comparing the two? They don't play the same roles on either side of the army. Because Duryodhana was experiencing a little bit of fear, he probably knew that Bhima was a great fighter, and most likely Bhima would be the cause of his death. Bhishma Dev was 191 years old when he was on this battlefield. As a matter of fact, Krishna and Arjuna themselves were in their 90s when they were fighting this battle. Not exactly how we would consider as very young soldiers, you know. So Duryodhana is exhibiting his selfishness by saying, yes, so what if the soldiers die? That's their job. They're supposed to die for me. And by the way, I hope Bhishma Dev, in spite of his old age and in spite of his affection for the Pandavas, will not let me down and will give it a good fight. So what is Duryodhana demonstrating? Selfishness and conceit. So when you're ready to destroy everybody else just so that you can survive, and that you do it in an improper way, in an unrighteous way, then certainly it's going to bring your downfall sooner or later. Therefore, what is important for us is that only dharma can save us. Dharma, I had asked you a question earlier. So let's look at the answers some of you gave. So what is dharma? So whatever needs to be done, needs to be done. Okay. Dharma means to follow the righteous path. Dharma means to do your work. I'm just reading some things from the chat. Dharma is a way of moksha. It's performing the respective duties in a righteous path. Dharma means righteousness. Okay. Being kind and working on life without thinking of the output. Okay. Dharma is knowing the relationship between Jiva and Paramatma. Okay, so some relevant definitions, I would say. But what is Dharma? It is impossible for us to understand Dharma. Because there are so many dharmas based on so many different roles and responsibilities that we play in life. It's not possible for any one of us to fully understand Dharma. Then how do I know what is my duty and responsibility? That Krishna will explain to me in chapter 3. What is dharma? So yes, dharma is doing the right thing all the time. But what is that right thing? Who gets to decide what is right and what is wrong? Is Krishna giving us detailed instructions on what is right and what is wrong? Actually, yes. But to hear what Krishna's detailed instructions are, we have to come to the middle 6 chapters. But before that, if you are worried about just basic dharma, he will start in the 3rd chapter talking about what is important for us. So then we come to some symbolisms of victory for the Pandavas. How do we know that the Pandavas are going to be victorious? Well, there are certain terms used, references made. So Sanjaya is saying here, Saghosho dhartarashtranam hridayani vyadarayat nabhascha prithivim chaiva tumulobhyanunadayan. Here, Sanjaya is telling Dhritarashtra what's happening. So Duryodhana has finished speaking. And because Duryodhana was expressing some concerns, and maybe Bhishma Dev thought he's lacking in confidence. So Bhishma Dev is the first person to blow the conch shell, to say, let the battle begin. After Bhishma Dev has blown his conch shell, then the Lord, along with the 5 Pandavas, also blow their conch shells. So here Sanjaya is describing that. He is saying the blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. That means when the Lord blew his conch shell, it created distress for all of the sons of Dhritarashtra. They became nervous when they heard the Lord blowing his conch shell. It was so powerful that the sound itself crushed their energy. So the first sign of victory is Krishna's conch shell is considered divine. Therefore, the word divya is used by Sanjaya. Krishna himself is present there personally. He is the supreme Lord. So if the Lord is present on the side of the Pandavas, certainly the Pandavas will be led to victory. Then there is Hanuman on Arjuna's flag. When Arjuna was told by Krishna to go and seek some celestial weapons from Svargaloka, Arjuna left to go to the heavenly planets to seek certain special weapons. That means the 4 brothers along with Draupadi at that time were in Badrikashram. And Draupadi had seen some beautiful lotus flowers, 1,000-petaled golden lotus flowers. And she asked Bhima to get her those flowers. And he fetched her one such flower. She was so happy to see it. She asks Bhima, can you go find some more? So Bhima goes into the forest, and as he is trying to look for some more of these golden petaled, 1,000-petaled lotus, Bhima comes across an old monkey lying on the path. Now you're not supposed to cross over another person's body. So Bhima asks the monkey to move aside and not block the path. The monkey does not respond. So Bhima then speaks even more loudly and says, you better move, otherwise I may have to hurt you. To which the old monkey said, actually, I am too old, I am too feeble. Why don't you just move my tail a little bit? The path will clear and you can go on wherever it is that you want to go. So when Bhima tried to move the tail of this old monkey, he was not able to move it even a millimeter. Then he realized this is no ordinary monkey. So he asked the monkey, who are you? At that time, the monkey says, I am Vayuputra, I am Hanuman, I am your brother. At that time, Bhima asks Hanumanji, this battle is about to take place. Please help us and support us on this battlefield. Come on our side. Help us be victorious. To which Hanumanji said, I am from a different yuga altogether. Do you see my signs? You are in a different yuga. It will certainly not be considered fair if I come and fight. But Hanuman tells Bhima, but don't worry, moral support I will give you. I will be there on the flag on top of Arjuna's chariot. And my dear Bhima, whenever you roar on the battlefield, I will roar with you and ensure victory. So that is why Hanuman is there on Arjuna's flag. Then wherever Lord Vishnu and Narayana is, there will always be Mahalakshmi. So she is called Adishtha Devata. So that means all opulence, all prosperity comes wherever Narayana is. Then how did Arjuna actually get this Agnidev's chariot? One day, Agnidev was consuming a forest called Khandava forest. And within that forest resided a bird serpent called Takshaka. Now, Takshaka happened to be a friend of Indradev. And he reached out to Indradev saying, hey, see, this Agnidev is swallowing this forest and I'm going to lose my life because I'm living in this Khandava forest. So what does Indra do to protect his friend Takshaka? He pours down rain. And when he pours down rain, Agnidev is thinking, wait a minute, I have not finished eating my food. And for Agni, the forest is the food. So Agnidev goes to Lord Brahma and asks Lord Brahma to intervene because Indradev is preventing him from eating. So Brahma says, I cannot help you, but Krishna and Arjuna are there. Why don't you go and ask them? So when Agnidev actually meets Krishna and Arjuna, Arjuna says, I'll be more than happy to help you, but in order to help you become victorious over Indra, I need the weapons that will be used to fight the Mahabharata war. So in that context, Agnidev also presents this special chariot to Arjuna, and therefore victory is assured for the Pandavas in this way. So there is a saying that when we are ready to offer everything to Krishna, then we become qualified to receive Krishna's mercy. So in the picture that you see always on the Bhagavad Gita cover, right? Krishna is in the position of a servant. Arjuna is in the position of a master. Because it's the charioteer who instructs the driver which direction to go in, how to move, whether to slow down, whether to speed up. So all of these things are actually instructed by the charioteer. Now on the battlefield, which happens to be very noisy, you can't really speak to each other when the battle is raging. So you have to use other ways to indicate what you want done. So Arjuna would put his foot on Krishna's shoulder to let him know whether he should speed up, slow down, turn left, turn right, go straight, make a U-turn. So the Lord had accepted the role of becoming the servant of his great devotee, Arjuna. And this is the causeless mercy of Lord Sri Krishna. Arjuna was his very dear friend. Now, Krishna could have just released the Sudarshan Chakra and ended everything in one shot. But he was so happy to take the position of the driver for Arjuna because he knew that he could be of help to Arjuna. So here, Arjuna is instructing the Lord in the first chapter. What is Arjuna saying? Senayor ubhayor madhye ratham sthapaya mechuta yavadeta niriksheham yodhukamanavasthitan kairmaya sahayodhavyam asmin ranasamudhyame. Arjuna is saying, hey Achyuta. Achyuta means somebody who never makes mistakes, who never falls down. So the English translation for this is, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. So the instruction is being given by Arjuna to Krishna. Krishna, do this. Go in between the two armies. I really want to see who has actually come here to fight me. So there is a saying in Bengali, Rakhe Krishna Mare Krishna Rakhe ke. If Krishna wants to protect somebody, nobody can harm him. If Krishna wants to kill somebody, nobody can protect him. So ultimately, in every aspect of our life, if we seek the Lord's help, He will always protect us. Now, the way He protects us will be very different the way we want to ask Him to protect us. Since Krishna knows what is best for us, He decides what is the best way and He protects us. So now, after Arjuna has seen all of his relatives, Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, his uncles, his cousins, all on the opposite side, then he's seen his own relatives on his side. He starts having doubts. He has a crisis of faith. He's wondering, am I doing the right thing here? Is it right for me to fight my own family members? What is the point of victory if my family members are killed in the process? So he is telling Krishna, Aho batamahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukha lobhena hantum svajanam udyataha. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. So, what is Arjuna saying? Is it really right for us to kill our family members just because we can then enjoy a kingdom? Is that the right way to enjoy as a Kshatriya, as a king? By killing one's own family and elders and guru on the battlefield? So Arjuna is experiencing an intense inner conflict. He says, these are my friends and relatives. Hey Krishna, how can you expect me to destroy them? Okay, even if you want me to fight, I have to kill them. After killing them, how can I enjoy? Okay, if I fight and kill them, who will accept the sin of all of this killing on the battlefield? And what will happen to all the women? Because women will be manipulated and taken advantage of by unscrupulous men. If men are not there, elders are not there to protect them, then certainly Arjuna is saying the whole society will be destroyed. Because women should always be under the protection of a man, either the father, the brother, or the son. That should be the culture in any society that calls itself a human society. So Krishna is hearing Arjuna come up with a list of reasons why he should not fight. So now comparing Duryodhana's mood to Arjuna's mood. Arjuna was worried about killing. Duryodhana was not worried at all. He said, all these soldiers, oh, they are so ready to die for me. Arjuna is thinking, I don't want any soldiers to die for me. Definitely, I don't want my guru to be killed or my cousins to be killed just so that I can enjoy myself. So on the one hand, you see Arjuna's compassion. On the other hand, you see Duryodhana's blindness to the fact that this war is going to inflict so much death, unnecessary death, simply because he wanted the kingdom over everything else. So in this way, you can see Arjuna is reluctant to fight. As a matter of fact, at the end of chapter 1, he puts down his bow and arrow. A soldier never puts down his bow and arrow on the battlefield. So certainly Arjuna is quite serious about not wanting to fight. And he is seeking some answers. So when you are in a difficult situation in life, and when you do not know what is the right thing to do, it is best to approach somebody senior and seek guidance and seek help. Because trying to solve very complicated matters on our own is going to be very difficult for us. So we'll pause here. This is the essence of the first chapter. The first chapter, if you notice the poster that we posted, the single word summary for the first chapter is lamentation. Lamentation means somebody crying out, complaining, not feeling very happy, in a confused state of mind. So who is lamenting? Arjuna is lamenting. So the word Vishada Yoga means Arjuna is lamenting. So even when you lament, he is going towards Krishna. He is not going away from Krishna. Since he is heading towards Krishna, that the word yoga is used for every single chapter. So Arjuna Vishada Yoga is the theme of the first chapter. So how is Krishna going to respond to Arjuna's reasons that he has expressed? There's one more reason Arjuna will give in the second chapter as to why he should not fight. And then Arjuna will say, my dear Krishna, I am thoroughly confused. I don't know what's the right thing to do here. You please become my master. You please become my guru. And please instruct me. And this is where the Bhagavad Gita actually begins, in the second chapter.